thank you so much for joining us here at ICE Experience and for joining us inside the ICE House.
Thanks for having me.
So, Kat, your career and leadership journey has spanned decades, from your start at Hooters to your role today as CEO of AG1. Before we dive into the experiences and lessons that shaped your path, can you share the origins of AG1, its core mission, and commitment to customers?
Yeah, so today AG1 is one of the fastest growing nutrition companies in the world, famous for our core product, which is called AG1. It's a daily health drink that combines a multivitamin, pro and prebiotics, and phytonutrients to support nutrient gaps and gut health support that many of us need. The green powder, you mix it in water, shake it up, daily health drink. The origin story is actually a founder who had his own health challenges, in particular gut health challenges, and realized he wasn't absorbing nutrients, even with very expensive pill and powder regimes. And so he went to a clinic and learned that if you consume things more as nature intended, vitamins through whole foods, fermented foods, or probiotics alongside vitamins and minerals, that can improve absorption. So he created, with doctors and naturopaths and experts, what was then called athletic greens. So it's one of these origin stories where it's like, fix your own problem, then start talking to people about how it was helping his problem. And he realized other trainers and functional doctors and practitioners were seeking a similar comprehensive solution instead of so many separate things. And the business started to grow. It grew very organically, only e-commerce. It was 15 years ago when it started. And then as nutrition education and awareness of health and supplementation continued to grow, so too did the industry, so too did then athletic greens. And then COVID hit, accelerated many of our desire to shore up our nutrients and our gut health to support immunity. And the entire industry grew and exploded. But a product that is so high quality, simple, and yet comprehensive, like now AG1, was positioned to experience those tailwinds in an even more profound way. And so the business started growing at hundreds of % year over year. I joined in 2021. And at the time, the business was already doing 160 million in annual sales. The founder bootstrapped it, did not take any outside capital, had a little bit of debt, but it's a pretty phenomenal origin story. It's a real testament to the recurring revenue. It's a subscription business. People drink it every day, and to the loyalty of customers who not only stayed, but told their family and friends. So the business was growing and on a tear when I joined. By the time I joined, it needed a few very important things. One, it needed an operational level up. We were only made in New Zealand at the time. Now we're blending also in the United States. We needed more infrastructure. I saw that the industry, you could see that many of us as consumers were going to start demanding more clinical evidence, more efficacy of supplements. And this brand in particular had already been investing in that. We just needed to do more and tell the story more effectively, and then lean into the future opportunities, which would have eventually mean product innovation and channel expansion. So over 4 years, we've 3x the business, and are just now starting to step into some of that innovation and expansion.
Now, AG1 positions itself as the leading foundational nutrition movement, offering a simple daily drinkable habit as the solution. As science continues to evolve, it's crucial that AG1 evolves with it. How do you ensure the product stays scientifically backed and adapts to the latest research in nutrition?
There's a few ways. One, what's so interesting about AG1 is it is a little bit like the iPhone, in that just as the iPhone keeps getting upgrades, you get an iOS update, you then get other versions of the iPhone that come out. And you could think of any other comparative examples that are similar, maybe a beloved shoe company where they keep upgrading the underlying technology. AG1 is the same. We have iterated the product many times over those 15 years. The AG1 today is not the AG1 or the athletic greens from 15 years ago. So we, one, build a team of the right PhDs, scientists, and nutrition experts to stay close to institutions who are conducting industry-leading research in nutrition and gut health in particular. And then 3, build a team that can bring those things together. What does the world need? What is research telling us now? And then how do we use our capabilities to bring that knowledge into AG1 as a platform? So Many years ago, we didn't have adaptogens. We added rhodiola that is clinically proven to support energy and mitochondrial function. We then upgraded probiotics. We've added methylated forms of vitamins. Once the world learned, once research advanced, that many people have gene mutations that don't allow them to methylate B vitamins. And so we then upgraded the ingredients there. And the latest iteration of AG1 is rolling out to our customers right now. And so continuous improvement as a brand promise, millions of investment in clinical human trials, which is very rare in the supplement industry, and having the courage to change something that people are drinking every day and love because it is better for them. And that's tough. Right? I've run consumer brands my whole life. And the idea of upgrading a formula that millions of people love, it's a bit scary. It's a bit white knuckle because you can't do it naturally without slightly affecting the taste or slightly changing the texture or the sensory experience. So bringing all those things together in a truly clean label, high quality way is an incredibly challenging endeavor, but this business has a history of it. And that is the way we make the promise and we deliver on that promise. So the formula will continue to keep up with science and not just be what it was in the past.
Now, earlier, I mentioned your extensive background in the food industry and customer service, beginning with your time at Hooters of America, where you started as a waitress and ultimately advanced to vice president. From there, you transitioned to Focus Brands, where you held various leadership roles, including serving as president of the company's subsidiary, Cinnabon.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
While your core customers' preferences at AG1 differ since your time at Hooters and Cinnabon, looking back, what initially sparked your interest in food and customer service, setting the stage for your long and successful career journey?
This answer is probably not as sophisticated or planful as people would hope, but I grew up in a single parent household. I had to start working at a very young age. And who employs young people? Malls and restaurants. And so I started working in malls and restaurants. That was it. It was my start. I didn't think it would be my career. I thought it was just a good way for a young person to make money along with other folks who were doing the same thing. But then a few very unexpected things happened. One, the company that I was with, Hooters Restaurants at the time, was growing rapidly globally. And there were many opportunities for advancement for internal team members. And the company needed existing employees to go travel and train new employees for expanded locations. So I was selected as one of those people. And then that led to me becoming a leader of those teams, opening franchises around the world. And before I knew it, even as the first person in my family to get into college, I was failing college because I was traveling so much. I was never home. So I dropped out. I'm a college dropout at the age of 20. I later went back and got my MBA. So I do deeply believe in the benefits of ongoing education. But at this point, it was like, I have opportunity here. And I came from very humble beginnings. So if you have opportunity in front of you, you follow the opportunity. And restaurant growth in the hospitality industry was my opportunity. And I was at that company for 15 years. As you mentioned, I became an executive at a very young age. And it really was this storied part of my foundation where it wasn't necessarily my dream to be a hospitality executive. I thought I was going to go be an attorney, actually. But it became the dream that I was living. I absolutely loved it. And starting in hospitality and restaurants certainly shaped my approach to customer, to teams, to leading, and to consumer brands with that hospitality and service lens.
Kat, at Focus Brands, you played a pivotal role in positioning Cinnabon for long-term growth, expanding into new markets, and attracting new customers. Through your journey from selling those iconic cinnamon rolls to ultimately becoming COO and president of Focus Brands, what were some of the key lessons you learned during your decade-plus time with the company?
There were so many lessons. 10 years is it's a long span. And in particular, that 10 years. So the first year I joined Focus Brands was 2010. So it was the end of the Great Recession. So I took over a business, Cinnabon, based in malls and airports during a recession when people don't travel or shop. So I took over a beloved brand, but a challenged business. And then the end of my tenure there was 2020. Which was COVID, complete decimation of the industry. And I ended up staying. I was actually planning on leaving right before COVID hit. And then for many reasons decided like, this is not the time to leave. I need to stay and lead through this moment that no one knew how long the deepest of the industry impacts would last. And I'm so glad I did. We navigated it with integrity. We came out quickly and profitably. And so even if you just think about those 10 years, were marked by crisis bookends. And so I would say the lessons, there are a few lessons from the crisis seasons, and there are a few lessons from the boom times in between. One lesson from the crisis season, actually both of them, was leadership during a crisis or a challenging time or a time of headwinds requires an unbelievable amount of clarity and focus. So with Cinnabon, it was clear the brand is beloved, the business model's broken, foot traffic is down. I can't change the macroeconomic climate, but we can work together to optimize the people who are here. So we're only going to focus on the immediate customer we have, which at that point was mall employees and airport employees. The customer base shifted from non-employee customers to employee customers as a disproportionate representation of the customer base. So more price sensitive, eating more frequently. So we had to change the menu, change the portion sizes. And so get in and focus on who is the customer now, what do they need, and be courageous enough to make fairly massive changes to the menu and the pricing structure to survive this window, and then work on innovation that will unlock opportunity when things turn positive, because they always do. It's a matter of time. Similarly, during COVID, I remember when the pandemic hit and the franchisees, we're talking billions in revenue, just decimated overnight. Franchisees lost. No one had a playbook. There were not clear guidelines. Of course, they weren't established yet on can you be open? If you can, how to be open? It was the Hunger Games for sanitizer. It was an incredibly difficult time. And so while I did not have many more answers than the average person in the industry, I had some given our scale, but I needed to rally the team around what was possible, not try to be positive in a disconnected way. It's more, this is what's possible. What's possible is we are going to focus on people and cash. That is it. If you want to talk to me, you have to talk to me about people or cash, ideally both. Our only goal is to preserve those right now. And that is a gear shift from where we were prior. We were talking about pricing strategies and testing third-party delivery and digital menu boards and all these things that when you're completely shut down don't matter in the moment. And so shifting gears to we're protecting cash, we're protecting our people, and our people includes our communities, our customers, our employees, our franchisees. And then getting through that season, which was really only a couple months, and being able to shift gears back to now we need to not be in pure preservation mode. We need to be in take advantage of the opportunities that are starting to unlock mode. So we had invested in technology 3 years prior that allowed us to have a very strong delivery business when many other restaurants had not. We had already partnered with third-party delivery companies. So we had the operating model, the contracts, the pricing structures. So the minute we could be open, we unlocked more revenue streams than the average restaurant because of the innovations we had made when we could have never predicted this outcome. And so this idea of one, when things are tough, you can only focus on one or two things and everyone needs to be aligned. That is all you're protecting or focusing on. But then don't set up residents there. Like there is a moment where you can be late to return to growth. You can be slightly early. You're never going to be right on time. I'd rather be slightly early. So let's open up. Let's try to leverage our partners. Let's do what we can. And our franchisees came out of that very quickly, very similar to when traffic came back in malls and we had innovated smaller portions and we did it to survive, but it actually helped us thrive once the macroeconomic climate turned more in our favor.
Now, let's pivot back to AG1. Subscription models are becoming increasingly popular in health and wellness space. How do you and your team strike the balance between driving growth and ensuring strong customer retention when it comes time for renewals?
There is only one answer to this question, and it is having a high quality product. There is no gamification. There is no business model. There is no marketing strategy that can drive an enduring retention pattern if not for a high quality product that people find worth renewing their financial commitment to every month. It's not like an expensive one-time purchase and then they could be satisfied or dissatisfied and then they're happy or they're not. It is a monthly commitment that shows up in their bank account, a reminder that you are paying for this, and a shipment that arrives at your door, a reminder that you are paying for this. So long before any subscription business starts tinkering with optimizing customer flows and conversion rates and sub take rates and all of the language of the digital subscription industry, there is nothing more powerful than having that product be beloved by the people for whom it is intended. Not everyone, right? Some people are going to subscribe to try and decide it's not for them. But for the people who it should be for, they not only need to be delighted, they should have a very high referral behavior. So I love this. It makes a difference. You should try it. That is how AG1 got its early traction. We are definitely known for podcasts and marketing strategies and things like that. But the largest driver of our growth and our compounding revenue streams over time, the subscription business being healthy, is simply repeating customers and them telling their family and friends.
The health and wellness space is increasingly crowded.
Yeah. We all want to be healthy with all the things.
And with new research constantly shaping nutrition, it's only going to get busier, Kat. So what do you see as AG1's biggest differentiator compared to other powders and nutrition products that are on the market?
There are actually a few, and they're all under the bucket of quality. Now, any brand can say we're high quality. It's an often used term in marketing. But what does that mean? And how do you know? So for many years, we've been NSF for Sport third-party certified, which is rare in the supplement space. That is a third party that we pay a tremendous amount of money to hold us accountable to what is on that label is what is in the bag, to test for over 500 herbicides and pesticides, to validate any label claims that we make. And if I change one thing in that formula, which we've talked about, we've made many changes, we have to start all over again to get that third-party certification that what we say is in there, that what we say is not in there is not, and that any claims are substantiated. Third-party certification and the investment in that is differentiator number one. Now, we're not the only ones, thank goodness, anymore who do this. We were one of you could count them on one hand. Now it's growing, but it is expensive and it's difficult to do that. The second way we're differentiated is human clinical trials. Not just research on ingredients. Most supplements, at least the supplement space of health and wellness, most supplements are formulated by well-researched ingredients. And then people put them together in a powder or a pill and then make claims off of the research that those ingredients at that dose unlocks. We take it a step further and have layered on layers of additional clinical trials of the finished formula. So not just the individual ingredients. What is this doing when it's in your body together? 4 times the presence of beneficial gut bacteria, over 200% the amount of short chain fatty acid improvement, markers of a healthy gut microbiome, and many other proof points. Because sometimes, especially with a supplement, it's like eating broccoli. Do I feel healthy when I eat broccoli? I mean, in my head I do, but do I feel the broccoli? No. But do I know it's good for me? Of course I do, because there's a tremendous amount of research that proves what that type of food does in my body. So there are some benefits that I and our customers feel with AG1 because of the quality of the ingredients and the formulation. There are other things that I may not feel it, but I know it's happening in my body and the research proves it. So third-party certifications, human clinical trials, and flat out, it is the best tasting of all of these blended powders because we have the operating and supply chain chops to source very particular high quality ingredients and blend it in a way without sugars, without gums, without artificial sweeteners. And as much as people want to do something healthy for themselves, they're not going to drink it every day if it doesn't taste good enough to drink. And that is much harder to do than people would think. And it is a moat for us.
Now, you've had great success scaling brands like Cinnabon and expanding the Focus brands portfolio, and now you're doing the same with AG1. When it comes to growing a brand, what are the key principles you focus on to scale both the business and its revenue?
I think of brand health, which is what would underpin brand scale, as 2 buckets, relevance and differentiation. And differentiation kind of speaks for itself, right? Is it unique? And to your point, that's increasingly challenging in a crowded market with lots of lookalikes and knockoffs, and it gets really muddy. So differentiation, even if you had it once, doesn't mean you'll keep it forever. So you have to keep leveling up, claiming your territory as it relates to your IP or these differentiators, to your point. So we're actually marketing our clinicals now. We've always done third-party certification. We never marketed it. The average customer didn't even know what NSF for sport was. They actually still don't today. Professional athletes do because it's required for them to consume a product. We're actually marketing NSF for sport now. So this idea of we can't rest on our laurels. We can't get complacent. We have to lean in to defining our differentiation, even if we drink our own green Kool-Aid and we believe it's different. We have to keep telling the world and showing the evidence that it's different. Relevance is a very different part of the equation, which is not only things like price and value, but where can I buy it? Is it accessible to me? Is it relevant to my life? We are seeing people move into life stages where they might want different versions of AG1 one day. And it's something we're thinking about fairly meaningfully that will help us stay relevant so we don't lose people along their life journey as they look to find something that's a bit more fit for their more precise needs, more due to life stage, not personalization, but life stage. So relevance, differentiation, if you can keep both healthy, you have a scaling brand. Then it is, as a leader, avoiding distraction. It is so easy to fall prey to the temptation of doing more and more things with your brand, and it can dilute it over time. So staying clear and focused. We're an extreme example of that, having one product at the scale for 15 years, and we will eventually have a few more products. And it's both exciting and a little challenging for this exact reason. We don't want to lose that differentiation of this one thing we do incredibly well, but we'll do that one thing in a few different ways. And so organizing clarity of the organization and resources around where strategy, right? Where do we play? How do we win? What does the brand own? And ensuring that whatever the strategies are for us, it's like grow the core, expand and innovate in the product offering, expand channels, and continue to grow internationally. But that's on a foundation of brand and trust. And none of those things can happen at the expense of the brand and trust. So an entire leadership team has to be super clear on that imperative, because you can do one at the expense of the other.
In previous talks and conversations, Kat, you've mentioned your hotshot rule practice. Can you walk us through its origin, what the rule entails, and how it's helped shape your leadership approach?
So when I was growing up in this earlier era, I mean, there was a moment where if you had described my life experience, it would look something like, she's a child of a single parent, alcoholic father, worked at Hooters for, early career, and was a college dropout. And there was a moment in time where that was kind of the perception of my career externally. People I worked with loved me. The business impact, unquestionable. But in outside circles, that's kind of what my story looked like. So I didn't have a line of mentors outside the business looking to help me. I wasn't some fabulous protege potential that had access to external perspectives in the way that I wanted. So I started thinking about ways to have access to growth, because I knew everything I needed to know wasn't just in my company or in my city or in my network. I wanted to continue to learn and grow. So I developed a few practices. One was mentoring moments instead of mentors. Again, there weren't big mentors lining up, but I could go talk to anyone and say, do you have 5 minutes? I heard you're good at this thing. I'm dealing with this. Can you tell me something that you learned about it? Mentoring moments. And I collected probably thousands of those over a career that colored my thinking. And then some of those conversations evolved into proper mentoring relationships over time. But when I didn't have those, I would have moments where I would just think about how I could improve. I would reflect. And I remember hearing a restaurant consultant saying at a training conference something like, imagine someone you admire in your role. And I thought, I should do that. And so I started thinking about my role, imagining someone I admired. It might be my mom, a teacher, a coach, a professional athlete who'd done something exceptional, a leader that I had worked with who I was really impressed by. And I would envision them and something about them that's exceptional. And then I would envision them in my seat tomorrow. I'm gone. They inherit my team, my email, my Slack, my problems, my opportunities. And I ask, what's one thing and the first thing they would do differently to make the business better? And for whatever reason, with the knowledge of my reality, and the inspiration of this person that I admire, and maybe a little of the accountability to envisioning them inheriting my stuff, an answer would come to mind. This one thing, I know the one thing they would do differently, and I would act on that thing in 24 hours and then tell the team that's involved. So if you think about that cycle, it started as quarterly, it became monthly, now it's weekly. And I've done it weekly for well over 15 years. I have done one thing I would not have otherwise done every week over 15 years. And sometimes it's something small. It's a phone call to tell someone I love them or thank you. Sometimes it's puts into motion something quite profound, someone I should let go, that I should have let go of long ago, or a conversation with a client that I need to have, or putting an end to an initiative that I've known for a while, probably isn't serving the company, but maybe I started it, or I had this entrenched allegiance to it because there was momentum and history behind it. And so this idea, it's a question, what would someone I admire do in my role tomorrow? But the power is in the action. So I do something every week that I would not have done. Sometimes it's I put on my shoes and go for a walk when I wouldn't have, or I lift a little heavier weights, or I say thank you to my husband, or I spend a little extra time with my kids. And that has helped me improve. If you think about the magnitude of those one things every week adding up, not only have I done many things that I wouldn't have that others also wouldn't have, but the last step is I tell my team. So every week I'm telling someone there's something I should have done and could have done, but I didn't. And now we are. And so it builds this reputation for self-awareness, vulnerability, and a bias for action. So over time, other people practice the hotshot rule. They get better faster. Other people come to me with problems more often because they're not worried that I'm going to be affronted by someone pointing out there's something I should have acted on that I didn't. They know, oh, well, she does this to herself. She's not going to mind if I come to her and say, we haven't addressed this problem and we really need to. They know I'm going to hear it as a result of the hotshot rule.
Throughout our conversation, we've touched on how health and wellness research is always evolving and how important it is to not get complacent as new trends continue to emerge. How are you and your team at AG1 staying ahead of these trends, ensuring that the company continues to grow and adapt as times change?
One is just staying very close to the research and investing in our own. But investing in third parties. So truly independent research that helps us stay at that sweet spot where you don't want to be too early and too fringe. We're a scaled company and we're not doing personalized nutrition. We are doing something more in the bucket of precision nutrition, a particular set of ingredients and a formula for a particular set of needs, nutrient gaps and gut health needs. We stay in our lane, nutrient gaps and gut health needs. And then we explore what are the other ways that a powdered, which is a better way to consume more whole food. It's more adjacent to whole food than in a capsule or in other methods. It's more bioavailable in many cases. So what are the ways we can use that capability of whole food or herbal powdered supplements to support other health pillar needs? And so we keep our eyes open to other health needs that we could support while staying very focused on what's going on with nutrient gaps in the world today. There's a ton of established research on that. Then what's our research of how our product can make an impact in that need? What's going on with gut health and the need for a greater microbial diversity, or the gut health challenged population today, whether that is for reasons of very popular pharmacological interventions that have become headlines today, or just stresses of the modern world, or autoimmune diseases. There are many things that give people a reason to change their diet or not be able to maintain optimal nutrient status and gut health. That's AG1's lane. It's what AG1 has always done: support nutrient gaps and support gut health. So we spend millions in research, stay close to other institutions launching that research. And then within that research, we have to decide what if that is relevant for us and our product right now. So we'll have people say things like, I wish you would put protein in AG1. And we've decided, protein's a big thing, right? Everyone wants it. We all want it. We're all trying to get our body weight in protein, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. And seems like every food aisle is trying to put protein in it. For now, we have said we are micronutrients, not macronutrients. Is it a need? Yes. Is it a nutritional need? Absolutely. Is it for us to solve today? No. So discipline and focus, going deep in areas of research that where we have a solution to the problem, and then staying very focused. That's how we stay close to the research, because we're not trying to chase a million bodies of research, right? It's a very clear lane. Then we can make sensible investments in the future in innovation or our own research to keep up with where our bodies are going, what our bodies need. And the other thing that changes is access to ingredients. There's certain probiotics that they're being fermented. They don't grow on trees. So there were certain probiotic strains that were not accessible at scale before. Now they are, and we have the scale to get access to those. So it's not just staying close to research. It's having the capabilities and the capacity and the supply chain to source new or novel ingredients that may be incredibly helpful for people at scale, and deciding if that's the right thing for the formula and our customer.
Okay, Kat, as we wrap up, tell me, how are you and your team at AG1 plotting the company's future over the next 5, 10, or even 15 years to ensure continued growth and success?
The big vision is still to be the most trusted and recommended daily foundational nutrition products and routine. And there are many ways that could come to life over a decade. To your point, it sounds so far away. One is deepening our core. So we are focused in going very deep with our core audience, which is high performers. And high performers shows up in many ways. Could be a busy executive, a busy parent, a creative performer, certainly athletes and enthusiasts for fitness activities, or anyone who's looking to age with strength and challenging themselves as life goes on. So we are doubling down. That's the reason our formula keeps upgrading. We want to keep saying, we are still for you, high performer. You always deserve what's best. We are what's next and best. So focus on the core. Don't get too distracted with bigger and growth and rings out of possible TAM. Focus on the core. Renew the vows to the core audience. So that is number one. That's why we continue to upgrade the formula and invest in community engagement in people's communities, endurance, what we call courts and courses, adventuring. And so these areas where people are serious about their nutrition, they're going to value something that is premium and comprehensive. Then from there, we go meet customers where they are. And so that will mean expanding beyond just the D2C channel. It will mean stepping into retail, because there are millions and millions and millions of people that, as much as I want to think otherwise, are not going to subscribe online. They want to see AG1 at a local premium retail outlet, and that conveys trust to them. And it's a lower barrier to trial for some. For some, subscribing is the easiest thing you could do. For others, it's the most stressful approach to retail and consumption. And so it's time for us to expand channels. So channel expansion is in the future and on the roadmap and coming very soon. And then meeting people where they are in a different way, which is with the product innovation and having versions of AG1 and a few other products, not many. Will never be a marketplace or a big spot for lots and lots of individual vitamins and supplements. That's not differentiated. But we will use our capabilities to make blended multi-nutrient powders that are real solutions to problems that we can solve in our wheelhouse that many, many people have. So recommitting to the core, which is D2C and AG1, expanding channel innovation, meeting people where they are, while still making subscription incredibly valuable for those who want that relationship with us. We definitely want it with them. And then innovating the core product. And finally, international expansion. We're already all over the world in many markets, mainly Europe and APAC, and we will continue that international expansion as well. And that's how I guess the theme is continue to protect relevance and differentiation, but meet people where they are so we can be a part of more people's health journey, not only those who want a green powder subscription exclusively online.
Kat, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thank
Likewise.
you for joining me inside the Ice House.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.